Hey everyone, my name is Rahul. Today I'm going to be going over my guide on how to prepare and succeed at career fairs. I got one of my internships while I was in college through my school's career fair, and I want to convey to you the tips and knowledge that I gained from that experience to ensure that you can succeed and land that job offer through your career fairs. If you end up liking this video, please leave a like down below and consider subscribing for more content like this on how you prepare for interviews and land job offers. Also, at the end of this video, please leave a comment down below telling me which of these tips you plan on using at your next career fair. And additionally, if you want to follow me on Twitter, that's also linked below in the description. That's a great way to keep up with me and what I'm going to be posting in the future. And finally, if you're looking for information on where to find software engineering jobs and internship postings, make sure you check out my video on that. That is also linked below in the description, and it's a great resource to be able to find those job postings that may be hidden and you may not be able to find them as easily. So without further ado, let's jump straight into the video. Let's first start out with at least 1 week before the career fair. In this time frame, you want to start off by researching companies. And by researching companies, I mean you need to find out what they do, what kind of products they have, and how you would fit into a role at that company. Additionally, you may want to figure out what the company culture is like, because those are the types of things that will impact your decision on whether you want to go ahead and talk to that company or not. You want to be able to compile a list of all the companies you want to talk to at the career fair, because choosing random companies at the fair is not the most effective way of getting by. Additionally, if you haven't done the research on a company, it'll be really clear to the company representative when you go and talk to them. So make sure you come in with that knowledge and show your passion and why you want to work at that company. The next thing you want to do at least a week before the career fair is to make sure that you have your resume ready. And your resume needs to be fully prepared to ensure that it'll be good for a career fair. Career fairs are not the same as submitting your resume online. Someone is going to be reading your resume on a physical piece of paper and needs to be able to quickly read the information that's necessary. What that means is cut out those long paragraphs, make sure you have bullet points, clear and concise, and make sure it's all readable. For example, serif fonts are usually easier to read on paper, whereas sans serif fonts are usually easier to read on an electronic display. So think about those types of choices. Look into different fonts, look into different templates, make sure you're choosing the right one for a career fair. And make sure you go ahead and give your resume off to some of your friends or peers to be able to review and be able to check that that's easy to read and that they can easily parse information that's important and necessary to be able to convey your experience in the field. If you lack this, it may be difficult for the company representative to pick up on what your skills are and know the important information that you want to convey to them through your resume. The final thing that you want to do at least a week before the career fair is look into preparing for your interviews. And the reason why I ask you to do this a week in advance at least is to ensure that you have time to prepare, because you may be asked questions at the career fair or you may be asked to come in for an interview shortly after the career fair. What this means is if you're not prepared ahead of time, you may be thrown off or surprised by the questions that you get asked, which may affect your ability to land that job offer. So what you need to do is start preparing ahead of time. Don't start right before the career fair. I usually recommend starting at least a month early, but if you have at least a week, that's some good time to be able to get in some review, make sure you know your concepts, and find out the types of questions that you might be asked in your industry. Also, if you're going for coding interviews, check out some of my previous videos. They're great resources on how to prepare for them. For example, my 5-step guide on how to prepare for coding interviews, my must-know algorithms for coding interviews, and my must-know data structures for coding interviews. And I highly recommend going through those and learning them and making sure you really know them to be ready for those questions that you may be asked either at the career fair or afterwards in an interview. The next time frame that we're going to be looking at is about a day before the career fair. And the first thing you want to do is get lots and lots of sleep. Sleep is incredibly important because that's going to be your energy reserve for the next day. And career fairs are tiring. You're going to be standing in long lines, you're going to be talking to company representatives the entire day, so expect that to take a lot of your energy. And the only way to have a lot of energy is to make sure you get a lot of sleep so that you can function at 100% capacity, and make sure you go ahead and do that for your next career fair. I forgot to print my resume. Well, if you were like Rahul over there by any chance, you might have forgotten to print your resumes, and that is the next thing you want to do at least a day before the career fair. What I recommend you do is not just print the number of resumes for the number of companies that you plan to go ahead and visit, print 5 extra resumes. Why do I say this? It's because if you end up with some extra time at the end of the career fair, that might be an opportunity for you to talk to a few more companies. And when you run out of resumes at a career fair, that career fair is over for you. Don't let that be you. If you have additional time, make sure you have the opportunity to go and talk to additional companies. Worst case, you will end up using those resumes at potential future events, so make sure you go ahead and print a few extras and have those on you so that you're ready to go in case you have additional time at the career fair. The final thing you want to do about a day before the career fair is to get organized with a folder or a pad folio. I recommend a pad folio because it gives you space to put your resume on one side and it has space for a writing pad on the other. This is a great way for you to be able to store your resumes and take notes when you talk to company representatives. So it really organizes your process of going through a career fair. They're usually about $15 if you buy them on Amazon. I have one linked below in the description through an affiliate link. If you want to go ahead and check that one out, that would be awesome. But you can go ahead and buy any old pad folio, or if you have one lying around or find one for free, go ahead and use one of those. It's a great way for you to organize yourself. But if you don't have a pad folio or a means of getting one, don't worry, you can still bring a folder and a writing pad or a piece of paper, some way for you to be able to take notes and hand out your resumes. Just know that it'll be a little less convenient for you to be able to do that because you're carrying multiple things at once, as opposed to the pad folio, which is more of an all-in-one tool. Let's now move on to the morning of the career fair. Here, you want to first start off by dressing appropriately for the industry you're pursuing a job in. For example, most industries are going to require you to dress business formal, so if your industry is like that, make sure you're dressing with attire that matches that dress code. For me personally, I dress something like this. And that's because I'm in the tech industry. And for the tech industry, we usually have more casual dress codes, and therefore I'm able to get by just wearing a sweater and jeans. But that's not going to be true for everyone, and it's not going to be true for everyone in the tech industry. Know the types of companies that you're going to be talking to, what kind of dress codes they usually have, and match your dress code to that. Additionally, if the career fair or if you're at a university and they have any kind of suggestions for how you should dress, make sure you kind of match up with those as well. Make sure you're not violating any regulations that are there for the event. The next thing you want to do the morning of the career fair is to practice your elevator pitch. And your elevator pitch is huge for a career fair. Think about this. When you're going to a career fair, you're going to be talking to a company representative that knows nothing about you. They've never met you, and it's your goal to convince them in a few minutes that you are the best candidate for the job that you're going for. That seems pretty tough, but you can do it. The way you do it is with your resume, which shows off some of your skills, but also through your elevator pitch, which is the easiest way for that recruiter to know, okay, these are the really important details from either your resume or just about you generally that make you a good fit for that job that you're looking for. I recommend having a structured elevator pitch. The way I structured my elevator pitch is by first introducing myself. While I was in college, I would state what my college major was. Then I would go on to talk about the job that I'm pursuing. Then onto my work experience, which demonstrated all of my industry experience as well as things like tutor experiences, which will be able to show how I would be qualified for that role. Then I talked about things that I did on the side that relate to my industry. For example, side projects, volunteer opportunities, and more to demonstrate that you have a vested interest in the field that you're pursuing. And finally, I would go on to talk about my hobbies and the things that I enjoy doing outside of work to show some of my personality. That is also an important component to your elevator pitch because you want to show how you're unique. So make sure you go ahead and include those elements about who you are so that the recruiter or the company representative gets the full picture on who you are as a candidate. And now I'm going to go ahead and give you a sample of what my elevator pitch looks like. It goes something like this. Hi, my name is Rahul Sabnis, and I am currently seeking full-time software engineering roles. I am currently a tutor for my school's computer science department and have been for the past 7 quarters. I'm passionate about conveying my knowledge of computer science to other students, and this has enabled me to be able to reinforce my understanding of core computer science concepts, as well as to be able to practice my communication skills and improve them on technical topics. Before that, last summer, I was a software engineering intern at Adobe, where I primarily worked on backend REST APIs in Java. Before that, I was a software engineering intern at Courteous, where I worked on front-end web development in React. Next, let's move on to my side projects and activities. With regards to my side projects, some of my side projects include some Alexa skills that I developed on the side just for fun, which tell you about the next upcoming Indian holiday, or an Alexa skill that gives you a random programming joke. Additionally, I'm the president of the largest computer science student organization on campus, which has enabled me to be able to have a huge impact on the student community. In my time as president, I've gone ahead and increased the number of events that we do year over year by 2 to 3 times what we did before I took over. Additionally, we've gone ahead and increased our attendance from about 100 members to about 500 members, which is a big jump, and we're now helping more students than we ever have before. And finally, outside of school and outside of work, some of the things that I'm interested in include playing video games, making YouTube videos, as well as grabbing milk tea and boba with my friends. So that's what my elevator pitch would look like. But make sure you go ahead and tailor your pitch to what information you want to convey, and make sure you're organized and confident to be able to succeed and be able to land those interviews, which will hopefully translate into job offers. The last thing you want to do the morning of the career fair is to show up early. I usually show up at least 45 minutes to an hour before the career fair starts to ensure that I'm one of the first people that's able to get in. And I recommend this because as the career fair starts up, there will be more and more people there, which means lines will be longer, it's going to be harder to talk to company representatives, and you might even get turned away if the career fair reaches capacity. So what you want to do is show up early. What that enables you to do is to be able to talk to company representatives quickly, have short lines, and be able to get the opportunity to be one of the first people to interact with these company representatives. So show up early. If you're in college or if you have some other obligation, I honestly recommend skipping that. Even if you have a class and there's going to be a quiz that day, if it's not the biggest thing in the world and it's going to make you fail that class, I usually recommend skipping that class, and that's the advice that my professors gave me as well. The career fair does not roll around that many times of the year, so if you miss it, you may lose out on a big opportunity. Additionally, for those of you going for tech jobs, make sure you go to your school's fall career fair if you're looking for tech jobs in the United States. Recruiting season for these usually happens between the end of August and December. So if you do not go to the career fair that takes place within that time frame, you may hurt your chances of getting that tech job in the United States. So make sure you go ahead and go to that specific career fair. Whew! We've got all that preparation out of the way, and now it's time for you to finally be at that career fair. While you're talking to the company representative, there's a few things that I want you to do. First off, be courteous. I'll often open my conversation with a company rep by thanking them for being there and for taking the time to recruit for candidates just like me. And this is because I know they might have driven out or possibly flown out to be at this career fair. And on top of that, they've been standing all day and been talking to other candidates. So I want to thank them for taking the time to be there. Next, I want to make sure I'm confident, and I also want to make sure I'm humble. You want to make sure that you're confident about what you can do and that you convey all of those skills, but don't go over the line and make it seem like you're bragging about your accomplishments. Make sure you draw that fine balance to be able to give out what you are capable of doing, as well as being humble at the same time. So the way the process usually goes is you go ahead and hand the recruiter or company representative your resume. They take a look at your resume, and while they're taking a look at it, I usually go straight into my elevator pitch and talk about why I'm a qualified candidate for that role. Then they go ahead and usually ask me a few questions, as well as I ask them a few questions, and all the while I take notes on what I learned from my interaction with them. And usually by the end, I can get a gauge of how the conversation went. If it went well, I can consider asking for their business card or their contact information so I can reach out to them in the future. Or sometimes they might even give you their contact information, which is a great way for you to now have a resource within the company. The next thing you want to do is stay hydrated and make sure you consider bringing food. Going to a career fair is like filming a YouTube video. You're going to take so many takes at it because you're going to talk to so many different companies, and your throat's going to be dry. It's going to be hard for you to talk by the end. So make sure you stay hydrated throughout the process. I always do when I record these YouTube videos, and make sure that you have the food that you need to be able to get through the career fair. Oftentimes, career fairs may run into the time that you would originally be having a meal. This means you may not be able to get through that career fair without needing to eat some food or have some water or a hot beverage. So make sure you bring any of those that you would need to be able to last through the entire career fair to maximize the amount of time that you have to talk to company representatives as well as recruiters. Because you missing out on time talking to a company is not going to be time that you can get back. And finally, we're done with that career fair. We've set all of our elevator pitches, we've handed out those resumes, and we've told people why we're qualified. But our work is not done yet. After the career fair, there are two main things you need to do. First off, you want to follow up on job postings as well as interview requests. So, some companies, you may talk to them and they may tell you, hey, go ahead and apply online either through a special link or just generally apply online through our careers page. Make sure you go ahead and follow that after the career fair to make sure you have your chance of getting considered for that job opportunity. Also, if you got an interview request following the career fair, make sure you go ahead and schedule that to be able to get into the process and the pipeline for that company's hiring process. Next, the second thing that you want to do following the career fair, if you got the contact information of any company representative, make sure you go ahead and reach out to them. This is going to be your opportunity to be able to get someone to have a conversation with about your opportunities at that company. So, what you want to do is draft an email or go by whatever the preferred contact method is. And if you need help writing an email, I've gone ahead and linked an article down below in the description that gives some samples of how to interact with company representatives following a career fair. Well, that was long, but that was the guide to preparing and succeeding on a career fair. If you ended up liking this video, please go ahead and leave a like down below. It took me a lot of time to put this one together. And consider subscribing for more content like this. And don't forget, leave a comment letting me know which of these tips you plan to use at your next career fair. Additionally, consider following me on Twitter for more tweets about the content that I'm going to be posting, and also check out my article on Medium that goes over all of these tips in a written format. And until next time, see ya.